Hey everybody, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Zach.
And this is Perk Bark. So we're so happy you're here to leave the old week behind and start the new week fresh with some music, coffee, and conversation.
Yes, and today we have a very special show. If you saw the promo, it looks like we might have had an issue, but in fact we don't.
So once.
For once. And
well,
hopefully
we'll
everything is fixed, so we'll find out. But that's what today's show is all about. Technical difficulties.
Yes.
So, what does that mean?
Technical difficulties. Well, it's kind of twofold. So we're going to show you what our setup looks like and everything that details a little bit later towards the end of our show. But it's also, it is silly, but it's also alluding to vocal technique and technical difficulties that way. We could probably spend, months talking about this topic.
I was going to say 10 to 12 years, because that's what's been going on for the last 10 to 12 years.
Oh, yeah, that's
years,
true.
10 to 12
10
years.
to 12 years.
It snuck back in there a little bit.
It did.
But, yeah, we're going to give you a walkthrough of some of the things that we think about and talk about when singers talk shop. This is some of that.
Mm-hmm.
And our goal is to give you a little bit more of an appreciation and maybe help you understand your taste in when you're listening to singing a little bit better. Maybe not change your taste, but definitely help your understanding of why you like what you like.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the goal for today.
Yeah, opera can seem like a very elitist thing, but it's really not. I promise. We're not elitist people, so we'll teach you some things to look for in a good opera performance. And Zach, like Zach said, figure out what your tastes are. And speaking of which, Zach, you gave them some homework, correct?
I did give them some homework.
Yeah. Do you forget what the homework was?
I did forget what the homework was. Okay, yeah. So there were a few different questions, but one of the big questions, and we're going to reiterate right now, is what do you look for in a performance? It doesn't have to be opera singing. It can be whatever. But what do you look for in a performance? Because that conversation is the basis of technique.
Mm. Yeah, so vocal technique, what does that mean? And I think that's a good jumping off point for us, is what does it mean to have good technique? The basis for good technique, honestly, breath. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. But I want to even go back a step further and answer the question why it matters and why we talk about it so much and why it's such a big part of what we do as opera singers. It's a big part because we don't have a microphone and we get to play with upwards of 50 to 100, depending on what kind of repertoire you're singing, of our closest friends, all who have instruments that are all designed to be very, very loud, essentially.
And typically, the singers are standing behind the orchestra. In an opera, that's normally the case. The players, as I'll refer to them, the orchestra, are down in the pit. This isn't the case when it comes to oratorio or concert work, traditionally.
But what holds true for all of it is that there is sort of a sonic space in an orchestra that you have to learn how to occupy as a singer. You don't have to be louder than the orchestra. But you certainly can't be quieter. But that's so weird though. Because that's not always true. You certainly can't be, certainly don't have to be louder, but you have to be heard. And vocal technique is all about manipulating how the sound comes out of your face so that it can be heard at a long distance. And hopefully, the goal is to make it intelligible and beautiful.
Mm-hmm. So if you think about when you were a little kid and you were screaming on the playground, hey! You had to have a good breath, and you had to make it cut so that your friend could hear you clear across the playground. I heard somebody describe opera singing as controlled screaming, and it made the most sense to me. That's basically what it is.
But please don't try going in controlled screaming just based on that description.
Yes. Good point. Good point.
There's a lot more there's a lot more. But yeah, as far as a good analogy, though, for sure.
And then what's your first step? Hey! It's that breath. You have to have something to give in order for the sound to ride on it. So you got to take in a good breath.
And something wild about breath is it can go... the way that we breathe as humans goes all the way down and is dependent on our legs and our core and everything like that. So if you're an athlete and you've done weightlifting with your legs and lower body, and then you try to go sing that day, it'll feel very different because it feels like you can't catch your breath, because the things that help power and ground you aren't there. They've already been used up for the day.
Yeah, so every once in a while, you'll hear one of us at the piano and the other will be in the living room, not that far apart in our tiny apartment, you'll see. But somebody will be like, oh, man. And then the other goes, it's okay, you lifted today. And then it's like, oh, that's right. Okay, we're good.
So, yeah.
So what else besides breath for good vocal technique? You mentioned basically some diction, right? You said being able to be understood.
And the next big thing, I think, is vowels.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk a lot about pure vowels. That has a lot of different meanings depending on the language that you're singing in and everything like that. But if you go and you stand and you're in a bathroom and you're humming, and if you hum up and you hum down, eventually you'll find a point where the bathroom sort of like kind of comes with you and resonates with you, and that sort of sensation is what we're after inside of our body.
Sorry.
I told you too many secrets, apparently.
They're coming for us.
They're coming.
Oh no!
So when we saying pure vowels, we want the sound to speak. We're trying to get that positive resonance, where it's just like this wonderful feedback mechanism that just sort of like propagates out into the world. That's what we're after, ultimately. And unlike in the bathroom, which is one shape and one size, we're trying to do it as we're changing the words that we're saying and the notes that we're singing and all that sort of stuff. So,
and this is the bare minimum. These are the building blocks on which we build our vocal technique. So, yes, we have to have all this, and hopefully it becomes second nature at a certain point, in order to layer on legato, staccato, character, dynamics, all of this stuff. So I know that we want to define some terms, legato and staccato, because you're going to be talking about that in a little bit.
Right. So with the piece that I'm going to be singing, it's a classic bel canto aria, which basically means that it boils down to two big chunks. One that tends to be slower and more limpid, sometimes we say. Like, it sort of spins out in these longer phrases. And then the other part, which is very fast, and it can jump up and down and go all over the place, and it's so. And so, when we're talking about those long feeling lines...
I know, you want to say legato. But
that's the word that we use is legato. And that's... So, when you hear a singer that's doing wonderful long vocal lines and very expressively, we call that good legato. And it doesn't have to be just classical singers. So, I mean, I'm trying to think. I can think of people who can do runs and stuff really, really well. But honestly, I think at some points Adele has some really, really nice legato. Mm-hmm. She can make a very simple line say a lot of things that she spins out.
Yeah, that's a really good example. I know, I was thinking about pop music and all of the little melismas that people do, and I was like, oh, Ariana Grande, she does really good melismas and stuff like that. But Adele, that's a good one.
All right.
We got some comments going on.
Jen says after that, after we talked about the bathrooms growing and shrinking, she says now she just pictures our heads as singers, as bathrooms growing and shrinking. Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
that's
Jen.
how it works.
That's how it is. And I really like what my physics mom says. Performers should look like they are enjoying themselves. And that is something that definitely is worth looking for. And that is something that technique helps a performer do, is make sure that the audience feels like something isn't going to pop or crack or, or, you know, nobody's going to expire on stage. And that's true of rock and roll singing. That's true of opera, like anything, right? You want the sound that you want, but you want to make sure that as the performer, you want to make sure that the audience isn't uncomfortable.
Yeah. Exactly. And there's a very fine line between the character feeling uncomfortable and the performer feeling uncomfortable. Character feeling uncomfortable, good.
That's fun.
That's good.
Yeah. Everybody can get on board with that.
Yeah. Performer feeling uncomfortable, as a performer, you have a glass face. As soon as you start thinking about something else, your performance suffers. So you have to stay plugged in the entire time, which can be really difficult. Is some consistency.
Yeah. We also had a question about what pure vowels are. There's a lot of different things, but if you think about how a lot of vocal technique for opera goes back to Italian, the Italian language. So if you think about the sounds that Italian people make when they are speaking loudly, especially.
And you have to do a hand gesture with it, right? Because
that sort of stuff carries. It tends to be very up. It tends to be very clear and forward, and if you can think about that, that's sort of the core and the basis. And then it can go different ways from there. Obviously, Russian, people sing in Russian, and they have very different vowels. But there's still ways to do it so that it carries out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, do you want me to sing?
I want you to sing, yeah.
Okay. I will be singing to show the difference, like I said, between legato, long lines, and staccato, short, clipped notes, as well as talking a little bit about coloratura, which are the fast-moving notes that we sing. This aria has it all. This is Dandini's aria from La Cenerentola, which is Rossini's telling of Cinderella. It's a little bit different than the Disney one we all know and love. There's a fairy godfather, sort of, right?
Yeah.
Kind of something like that. There's more than one intrigue going on. So in this case, I play the prince's footman, his body man, his number one groom, I guess, like his
wingman.
Yeah.
His lower class wingman.
And what the prince has done is he said, Dandini, you go in dressed like me. And I'm going to watch as a servant and see how these families treat me and treat you. And based on that, so it's kind of a smart thing, because then he sort of steps away from his office as the prince, and he gets to separate the sycophants from the people who are truly genuine.
In it for the right reasons,
right.
Yeah.
But Dandini goes way over the top with his portrayal of what he thinks a prince should look and sound like. So, here we go. Dandini's aria. Whoa, I don't know what happened there. There we go. Oh.
come un'ape nei giorni d'aprile va volando leggera e scherzosa, corre il giglio, poi salta la rosa che un fiore a cercare per te. Fra le belle m'aggiro e rimiro, ne ho vedute già tante, poi tante, ma non trovo un giudizio, un sembiante. Un boccone squisito per me, un boccone squisito per me, un boccone squisito per me, un boccone squisito per me. Nulla, vezzosa, graziosa, dico bene, son tutte papà, per pietà quelle ciglia abbassate, galoppando se ne va la ragione, e fra i colpi d'un doppio cannone spalancata la breccia di già, e fra i colpi d'un doppio cannone spalancata la breccia di già, e fra i colpi d'un doppio cannone spalancata e la breccia di già. Vezzosa, graziosa, son tutte papà, Ma al finire della nostra commedia che tragedi qui nascerò fra, ma al finire della nostra commedia che tragedi qui nascerò fra, ma al finire della nostra commedia che tragedi qui nascerò fra, ma al finire della nostra commedia che tragedi qui nascerò fra, ma al finire della nostra commedia che tragedi qui nascerò fra, che tragedi qui nascerò fra. Per pietà quelle ciglia abbassate, galoppando sen va la ragione, e fra i colpi d'un doppio cannone spalancata la breccia e di già, ma al finire della nostra commedia che tragedi qui nascerò fra. Dico bene?
Bestia!
Grazie! Ma al finire della nostra commedia che tragedi qui nascerò fra, ma al finire della nostra commedia che tragedi qui nascerò fra, ma al finire della nostra commedia che tragedie qui nasce dovrà. Che tragedie qui nasce dovrà. Che tragedie nascerà. Che tragedie qui nasce dovrà. Che tragedie nascerà. Che tragedie qui nasce dovrà. Qui nasce dovrà. Qui nasce dovrà. Qui nasce dovrà.
Ooh, a lot of notes. Good job, my love.
And other Jen, what's her name on here? Jenny from the Bayou. Love it. It's so good. It's so good. She said it's like singing stuff is like a duck on water. On the top, it looks so easy, but underneath, you're pedaling furiously. You probably saw some of my furious pedaling there in that. It's pretty much brand new for me. And that's really why I wanted to do it for this technical difficulties thing. So you could see sort of like, there's some stuff in there.
Oh, yeah.
There's some things that I don't know whether I'm ever going to feel comfortable with in that. And especially that ending. But I hope you enjoyed.
I know I did.
It was fun to do.
That's something that I've been seeing going on a lot in, just like the opera world recently is this fight for trying to be okay with imperfections, which is a really cool movement, and I hope that it continues, because some of the things that we're asked to do in very imperfect situations, like auditions, I think we put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect that we go the complete opposite way, and we don't have fun with it. I'm speaking for myself, for sure. If there's one thing that I've learned in this pandemic, it's that, you don't have to be perfect in order to make some art, some good art. And think about the performances that you really like. I know some of my favorites, like Hosier, the singer-songwriter. Yeah. Some of my favorite performances of his are when his voice breaks from emotion or things like that. It just, it makes it so good. So trying to lean into the imperfections in order to, make art happen, I think. So imperfections are good.
There were plenty in that. So
I
forgot what was happening in the middle of one of the runs in the middle.
Did you forget where you were?
I forgot where I was. On the page, it just looks like a black, just like chunk. It's great. I can't see it in my head. It's tough.
It is tough. You did a great job. One thing that is pretty perfect is this coffee.
It is.
We got it from Suprema Coffee.
Grandma says that it's excellent.
Yes.
You can't really see.
No, you can't really see it. Go close.
I guess I can't go close. That's me. I am world's best grandma. Thank you to Emmy Bean. No, who got these? No, Sarah Johansson, I think. No, Emmy got them. Emmy Bean. Thank you to Emmy Bean for world's best grandma mug. Yeah. If you know, you know.
Well, we got this coffee from Suprema, which is one of our favorites. It's right down the street from where we live, here in Philadelphia.
And until recently, it was just one guy that was there. We finally saw somebody else that was working there, but he roasts right there. He's got a roaster that he uses right on the counter. Serves you coffee. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And you can talk about it for hours, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what is this? We've got Brazil.
Yes, it's the Brazil Mogiana. I'm not sure exactly how you say it. I'll say Mogiana because
Mogiana.
we're both singing in Italian today.
Brasilia Mogiana.
It is a medium dark roast coffee, and I think that they've recently been using this as their drip coffee.
Yeah.
Which has been really great.
Yeah.
Walnut, dark chocolate, creamy.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely delicious.
Yep.
And we did it in the French press today.
So, if you're keeping score, that makes it extra bold.
It certainly is. Woo!
Cool.
So good. So good.
So, should we look at some more comments?
Yeah, let's do it.
Because I see a couple more that come in. Oh, thanks, Mom. Even if you didn't think it was perfect, it sounded wonderful there.
Yes, it
I'm
did.
glad.
Yes, it
Thank
did.
you. All right. And sure, that's
okay.
it. Okay.
Still trying to get used to toggling back and forth, technical difficulties. One thing that I really wanted to highlight for this show was doing what's on the page and when it turns into art.
Yeah.
The piece that I'll be singing, Come Scoglio, I performed in one of our shows when we were moving. So I think it was a Favorite Sings.
Yeah.
Favorite Sings show.
One of the pre-recorded ones.
Yeah. So I didn't really get to talk about it. But especially for Mozart and many composers, a lot of what is traditionally done isn't on the page. The decrescendos and the mezzi di voce and the crescendos, the staccati, a bunch of the different dynamic markings aren't written down. They're not written.
You just know.
You just know.
You're just supposed to know.
Or you are, an artist and you discover what you want to say. A lot of that comes from the text. Bringing out the text. I don't know what else. Trying to get some dynamic
text
flair
repetition.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of that too.
Yes, there is a ton of different text repetition in Come Scoglio. It comes around again, so, just like if you say something to yourself a couple times, you're not going to say it to yourself the same way. Right?
Probably not.
Right?
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 Right? Right. Right.
Right. Okay, we can get off in a tangent on that. Yeah. Right. So we make it different by different dynamics, or we're putting emphasis on something. So the bare minimum, just like we talked about with good vocal technique, the bare minimum of learning an aria is doing what's on the page. It becomes art once you actually have something to say about it. Once you delved into the character, you understand what you're saying in the text, like we talked about for role prep, and eventually it becomes your own. I don't know, do you have any thoughts on that?
No. So how are you going to show us this then?
So for Come Scoglio, a little bit about the background and what's happening in the piece itself. Fiordiligi is one of the two girls. Dorabella is the other one, and their beloveds, their lovers, have gone off to the military, or so they think. But really, they made a bet saying, our women, they know us. They won't be tempted, but we're going to switch places. So they don disguises, and then they tried to seduce the other's woman. Well, in this whole seduction sequence, Fiordiligi gets pissed. And she's like, how dare you? We are ladies. We are in love, and we have pledged ourselves to our men. We are faithful. And you are barbarians. So she wrestles back and forth between scolding the men and trying to keep Guglielmo, her love, in the forefront of her mind. But I think that it's slipping a little bit. Her resolve is waning ever so slightly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the recitative, which is, oh God, how would you explain what recitative is?
It's closer to like a play it's supposed to be like a monologue that you would see in a play.
Yeah.
Whereas an aria tends to be more of like a meditation on how you're feeling. The recitative tends to have more plot information.
Yes. So I'm going to do that normally. And then I'm going to do, once it gets to the aria proper, I'm going to do exactly what's on the page. Just for, a stanza or two. And then I'm going to go back and sing what I have made up and some traditional performance practices, things like that. But try to get those notes and that story to leap off the page a little bit.
So the other side of technique. So I hopefully showed some of the building blocks. This is kind of where you want to ultimately get to.
Yeah.
This feeling.
Now, this aria also has some melismas in it, and they're the kind that I absolutely hate. So there are linear runs, which go, and there are scalar runs, which go up and down. I like the scalar runs. Did I say that right?
I don't know.
Anyway,
I just, like I said, I just see a mass of black notes on the page, and I go, oh, great.
All right, here we go.
Let's figure this out.
These are my least favorite runs because they have, they don't go up and down. They do, but in a weird way. You'll see what I mean in a minute. But it's a little harder to let go of. So just like I talked about with our what was it, roll prep? Where I did the melisma thing?
Yeah.
So just like I did saying, hey, here's how I learned this particular melisma. So I have those anchor notes, and you just kind of got to let it ride. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do today. And I'm going to stop talking so that I can sing, and you can try to figure out what I'm talking about. Yay!
Temerari, sortite fuori da questo loco e non profani l'alipo infausto degli infami reti, nostro cor, nostro orecchio e nostri affetti. Invan per voi, per gli altri invan, si cerca le nostre arme sedur. L'indata fede che per noi già si tiene. Ai cari amanti, saprem loro osservar e fino a morte. A dispetto del mondo e della sorte. Come scoglio immoto resta contra i venti e la Yeah, a little bit. I'm gonna do it again. Come scoglio immuto resta contra i venti e la tempesta e la tempesta. Così amor, questa vai forte, nella fede e nell'amor. Quando è nacque quella face che ci piace e ci consola, e buttata morte sola, la morte sola, far che cangi affetto il cor, far che cangi
Well, damn.
Again, lots of notes. Not as many, but
I don't
still.
know. There's a lot of notes in there.
There are a lot of notes, yes.
Oh, I forgot my coffee. I need coffee after
Don't forget the coffee.
Boy.
I know. We're like, need it after that.
So we picked very technical pieces for technical difficulties, and now we're both like, oh,
I need a nap.
okay.
Maybe a hug.
Yeah, that was sweet. That was great. There's a lot, though. Oof.
So hopefully you could see the difference between doing what's on the page and doing what the text tells you to do. Honestly, the hardest part, I think, is making repeated text new. Having a new meaning. I'm getting better and better at it, but still a long way to go.
It's wicked hard. It's wicked hard. It is wicked hard. I think you got some wonderful claps.
Yay!
You made it real.
Awesome.
That's great. That's the dream.
That's what we're after.
That is the dream. Okay. Well, we have a kind of a cool thing, I think.
I think it's a cool thing.
It's really short, but the other thing, because it's technical difficulties, you know, if you've watched the show, you know that we have many technical difficulties every week.
Yeah.
It's just constant. So we thought we'd show you what the setup actually looks like. So we're going to be turning our bedroom where we film from a bedroom into this. So it's just a few second time lapse of how it all works. Hope you enjoy.
See what you think.
Yeah. Gotta hit a button. And then we go, boom. There it is. Look at us go.
Oh my.
Look at
Moving
us
so
go.
fast. So now it's turning into, now you can see the computer.
Yeah.
Zach actually built that computer because he's amazing. So now that's the back end. So this is where we stand for our performance.
There's our high-tech mic stand. It's our favorite thing. So now I guess we're going to watch it again. I guess it's going to go again. That's fine. It's short.
Yeah.
So you get a sense of everything that goes on.
So here we're
sitting
to the left of what you see right now, and our performance space is right here. That's what we're looking at when we're performing.
Yeah. We're looking at a stack of books with a microphone and a ring light.
All right.
And that's there it is. So there we go.
Yeah. So that is our setup. We'll post that on Patreon, as well as maybe we'll take a couple pictures here and show you what that looks like. But if you don't know what Patreon is, as you notice, we haven't had a tip jar scrolling across the bottom of your screen. Instead, if you feel so compelled and so kind as to support us monetarily, you can do so at patreon.com/perkandbark.
Yeah, and we have some goodies over there. We're working on getting all of the singing cut into individual videos for our Patreon subscribers. You also get to know about weekly themes before anybody else, and you have early access to an upcoming project, a whole opera that we are in the process of producing. So there we go.
Yeah. Thank you to all who have who are our Patreon members already. Thank you so much for supporting us each and every month. We really appreciate it. And thank you to those who, if you're unable to support financially, we totally get it. Pandemic is crazy times. But thank you for your support by sharing, liking, commenting, watching, all of the support. We could not have done it without you, for sure. And it makes it so much more fun for us. Otherwise, it's, just us practicing as normal, which is still fun, but, this makes it a little bit more real.
For sure. For sure. Well, thank you all. I think that's it.
I think that's it, too.
Cool. We're going to go enjoy some coffee and get off our feet.
That's right. Too many notes.
Too many notes.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.